Buddhist, atheist, agnostic, even anarchist, because we want to know ourselves. We need to love ourselves too and accept ourselves. And it's part of it is to learn of our origins. And a lot of it is stored in our DNA, in our physical body, and it's also stored in our auric field, auric body, our energy body. This is a theme of this conference, that we're trying to create a new humanity, as Side David Farman would say, the new humanity movement, through upgrading our DNA, our energy, our health. It's a theme of so-called New Age, and that's why I'm supporting New Age. Some religious people say New Age is evil, but it's not. It's about awakening our inner being, which is divine. But we have shortcomings because of past DNA things, which connects to the Anunnaki story about that they came into this planet from Nibiru, which was actually a ship that came here. It wasn't a planet. And they came and worked with our DNA. Apparently, that's what is said. This picture is portraying the 7 gods who decree: Enlil, Enki, Ninma, I think it's Utu, Sin, which is the moon god. So Starseeds is the main theme of my talk, is the Starseed Envoy Program. That many people are realizing that they have a connection to the galaxies, to the stars, that we come from the stars, that we're not just from the earth. We're not just physical beings. We are spirits in a physical body. This is our vehicle. Some people call it Merkaba. That's how we travel. So they're realizing that, and they're calling it starseeds. And from my research, there actually are beings that came here, settled here from different star systems. There's well-known ones: Andromeda Galaxy, Andromeda Constellation, Arcturus, Star System Sirius, Alpha Centauri, which has 3 stars in the system. Really, 3 or 4. Even other galaxies. So I'm going to read this. In recent years, there has been a rising awareness of the phenomenon of starseeds, or star people, which are people who say they feel a resonance with other star systems and who believe that their true home is not of the earth. Starseeds are humans who identify their origin as coming from other star systems. Another part of this is that we have different characteristics. Maybe our blood is different in some way, our heart rate, different characteristics. There was a test that was done by Brad Steiger in 1982 of star people characteristics. It was very interesting. It's in his book, The Star People. Yeah. They often have otherworldly interests, such as space and science fiction, and often feel out of place on Earth, which I felt when I was a kid. Longing to meet their star families from back home. Or that might have been. The idea of humanity's origin being among the stars is an ancient one. In the ancient times, people all looked up to the stars. In the ancient cultures, they had elaborate knowledge of stars and the planets. It was embedded in their buildings, in their temples, in their rituals, because there was no lights that we know of at night, so they spent all that time documenting it. Plus, they were looking for, like, say, good crops or fertility, and they were trying to determine through astrology and astronomical observations what would be the best time to do those things. So a lot of the ancient cosmology is based on everyday human needs: crops, water, irrigation, fertility, like when, especially for the kings and queens. So The idea of humanity's origin being among the stars is an ancient one and is common among many different groups and peoples, such as many of the Native American tribes who say that their ancestors came from the stars. In the modern Starseed Paradigm, humanity's origin is often traced to either the Lyran star system or the Pleiades, depending on researchers. Starseeds radiate a certain frequency, often unknown and unnoticed by people around them. I've had people walk up to me and say, "You have something different." A lady today, she's at the conference. She's a spiritual practitioner. She's noticed that I had a unique aura. Each star race has their own certain frequency that the starseed individual vibrates to. Each starseed resonates with one or more of these various particular star systems or races, indicating that they may have likely had a past life on those worlds and or bonds with those beings. The memory of their heritage is stored in their etheric body. Meanwhile, their physical body has a certain lineage which was chosen by the soul to facilitate the best development of that soul, as well as that soul's greatest impact in and on the world around. Who are the Anunnaki? People hear that term.
Bad guys.
The famous writer Zecharia Sitchin popularized the theory, or idea, or knowledge, or revelation, that the Sumerian gods were actually ancient astronauts, or beings from other planets, who came from a planet named Nibiru, which supposedly had a elliptical orbit and came within the Earth's orbit every 3,600 years, according to his calculations. The word Nibiru is in the Sumerian tablets, and it means planet of the crossing, which, while some researchers say that this refers to Jupiter, Sitchin argues that this refers to the planet Nibiru, which comes into the Earth orbit every 3,600 years. One common storyline around Anunnaki and Nibiru is how the Sumerian god beings came to Earth to mine gold to preserve their planet. That's a big story, or a big part of the story, that they came to Earth and they found that they had to go to southern Africa, which they call the Abzu. It's also interpreted as the underwater, and that was Ea's domain, and he went down there and did something with the DNA to create a race that would work to mine the gold. It was called the Lulu Amelu. It's in some of Zecharia Sitchin's books. You can look it up. Now, there's another storyline that's coming out now that Nibiru is actually a giant mothership. Giant. It's huge. One of my people I just listen to and look up to, Elena Danan, says she's been aboard that ship and has met Ea personally and some of the other ancient Anunnaki beings. The Anunnaki, being representatives of the Anak Empire, that's what they call it, were one of the Cedar races and were part of the seeding and genetic changes that happened to humanity's DNA over many thousands of years. They were not the only beings or race to come to Earth, but they were prominent. There are other Cedar races, which some originate from other galaxies outside our own. Some of those Cedar races are most likely more ancient than the Anunnaki. There's two in Elena's book, the Cedars. The Patal, P-A, capital T-A-A-L. And there's another race, Alteans, who are from a galaxy NGC 7331. It's millions of years away. Anyway, most likely the galactic human races are millions, if not billions, of years old. The true existence of Cedar races is just being revealed to current Earth humanity. Yes?
Anunnaki, aren't they the bad guys?
There are different factions, just like the humans on Earth. There's good ones, bad ones. It's a term meaning group of gods, actually. There were the Anunnaki and Agigi, E-I-G-I-G-I. I may not go into that in this talk. I need a time check. What time is it?
2:25.
I got So I'm going to go to the next page. I like my friend Matthew picked some of these graphics, and they're really nice. This symbol is like the wing, it's like a spaceship, but it has a star of Venus. It's also known as the Bahar. It's in Assyrian, which was Akkadian and originally Sumerian. It's a symbol. It's also known as Ahura Mazda in Persian Zoroastrianism. You've heard of that, right? Yes.
I've heard of Zoroaster.
Yeah. These interstellar Johnny Appleseeds are referred to in the book The Cedars by Elena Danan, which contains some new information about the Cedar races. According to her information, a faction or group of these beings recently arrived in our solar system through a portal near Jupiter in a fleet of motherships. They hold a lot of ancient knowledge about our planet and have some technology that is reactivating hidden underneath the Earth. There are these allegedly giant arcs with bodies in stasis who are reawakening. There's this guy, JP, who worked for the American military, and he has discovered some of these. He's seen them. He's not going to tell you where they are, but he's seen them. I met him in person. There are allegedly ancient arcs buried in different places which contain bodies in stasis, which are reactivating and will help elevate the consciousness of people. The starseeds on Earth will have some sort of role to play as these arcs are revealed to the public in the coming years. When I first met, it wasn't JP, but there was another guy, Quetzal Shah, and they started doing this chant, Akoria Mate, at another conference I was at. Everybody moved to one part of the conference and started dancing around. This phrase activates people, Akoria Mate.
Huh.
You have to check that out. I gotta go. There are disparate elements in the Anunnaki's narrative. One of these is the role of the creator god and various characteristics in the stories that unfold. Somewhere behind the scenes is source consciousness, which is stable, not moving centered. The characters like Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Inanna, the Nephilim, these beings embody certain divine human characteristics, divine or human characteristics. Love, wisdom, craftiness, which they were saying Enki was about craftiness. Passion, conquest, control. That's where the different factions of Anunnaki come into play. These characteristics play out in the history of Earth as we know it, or as we conceive it to be, or has been relayed by channelers or others as being ancient Earth history. Things you guys can research. Anunnaki, warfare and conquest on Earth were instituted by the negative faction of the Anunnaki, which is manifested through Enlil and his bloodline. It's talked about in Wars of Gods and Men by Zechariah Sitchin. I recommend it. These destructive tendencies spread through the influence of Enlil's lineage. That's according to my research. They attempted to control humanity through warfare, conquest, and enslavement, as well as through fear imposed by religious doctrines, like saying God is going to destroy you, and narratives such as the flood, which did happen, I believe, but whether it was actually God did it or it just happened, I don't know. And the people were emphasizing the lower nature of man, animalistic tendencies rather than spiritual. It's also talked about in The Secret Doctrine by Helena Blavatsky. The evidence for the Anunnaki, astrological evidence, the Sumerian cosmology that mentions Nibiru contains other accurate astrological and astronomical data that could not have been known by simple humans at the time. There's a symbol on one of the cylinder seals where it shows the 12 planets revolving around the sun. Documentary evidence is the Ashurbanipal's library in Nineveh. In the late 1800s, they started to unearth hundreds and thousands of clay tablets with the cuneiform on it, and they went right into deciphering them. One of the scholars that I really admire that was part of that was Samuel Noah Kramer, and he helped put together the Assyrian Dictionary. The University of Chicago Oriental Institute was doing that work. Physical evidence, the Sumerian Atrahasis, which has Noah in it, as Utnapishtim and the flood is in that story, indicates that the Anunnaki were mining gold in Africa. The Cedar races brought humanity to this planet, but the Anunnaki split into factions because they disagreed on what to do with the humans. In a few versions of the Sumerian tales, Enki tries to intercede for humanity, while Enlil is more of a conqueror and is seen as being against humanity. Wanted to preserve humanity on Earth, but Enlil felt that humanity didn't deserve to be preserved. He said they were making too much noise. That's the way it's written in Enuma Elish. So he thus attempted to destroy them through such methods as the flood and the nuclear occurrence known as Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, in the Bible it says that God wouldn't make the flood happen again, and there was something that they were doing that it needed to be cleansed. Just another way of looking at it. Hello, welcome. Thank you for participating. We're talking about the Anunnaki, how the Sumerian gods were beings that had something to do with the origins of people on planet Earth. Let's go to the next slide. Like this. Ea and Enki were brothers. Their father's name was Anu. There were some other beings that were Anus, A-N-U, father and mother. Ea desired to give humans a chance on Earth, according to what I've studied. He appointed Utnapishtim, Noah, to gather some of the life from Earth before the Great Flood happened. It's possible that he just preserved DNA from the animals. It's hard to believe that all the animals on the Earth were put on one boat. I don't know, I wasn't there. So. Enlil, who some say is impersonated as Yahweh, who wanted to destroy people sometimes, but also had mercy too, according to the story. Enlil supposedly impersonated the God of the Bible in the Old Testament, who maybe wasn't the real God, because it does say gods in some of the words, like Elohim is a plural, so there were more than one being. Okay, anyway, Enlil did not want mankind to prosper on Earth. He manifested this through the Great Flood on Earth to try to destroy humanity. Yeah, and Enki, let's see. This is a quote from Zechariah Sitchin. Now, that it is certain that the biblical tales of the deluge and the Nephilim, the biblical Anunnaki, of the creation of the atom and of Earth itself and the antediluvial patriarchs are abbreviated renderings of original earlier Sumerian texts. The Sumerian texts are dated older than the biblical narrative, from what we know anyway. There's no older tablets that are written with the Bible, say the 5 books of Moses on it. It's the written documentation is newer than the Sumerian texts, which were dated to maybe 4000 BC or older. This is something I brought up, a friend of mine brought up, the baby brother phenomenon syndrome, which happens with brothers. In Earth humans, there is a common phenomenon called the baby brother syndrome, where the baby brother becomes jealous of the older brother because of the favor bestowed on the older brother. The elder had more authority and the younger was jealous. I just added that in there. People can interpret it as they will, but there are rivalries in families. It happens all the time. Possibly these rivalry instinct comes from what happened with the Anunnaki. This is me at the Oriental Institute. It's called now the Institute for Study of Ancient Cultures Museum. These are from, I think, Sargon's reign in Mesopotamia. This god is called El. If you look at the word El, it's in Elohim. And there's also another one, El Elohi, which means like the Lord God Almighty. But there were other gods called the Lord God Almighty in a lot of the Mesopotamian area or Levant area. I can't remember all the names. The Hittites had a god. Different civilizations there, Phoenicians, they all had storm gods, which had a lot of similar characteristics as Jehovah or Yahweh in the Bible. There was also Baal, who was supposedly the archenemy of Yahweh in the Bible.
Do you have or read the book Keys of Enoch?
Keys of Enoch. No, I've heard little bits of it. That's by J.J. and Desiree Hertog, right? Who I met in New York City. I was at a conference to see this lady I like, Gail Thackeray, and I walk in the room and they were on a panel. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was an amazing panel. I can't remember the other people. Except for Gail Thackeray. I want to get that. I also want to get, there's one called The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. I want to get that too. So these beings, tell me they don't look like ETs, don't they? They have giant eyes. I can't. Anybody point at it? They're called the Dhyala votive sculptures. So in the temples, the people would create these statues as them worshiping the god or honoring the god. I call it honoring. Let's see, it even says on there the Mesopotamian statues. But I don't want to go into too much detail there. Connections, brothers from another mother planet. My friend Al put this together. So both the Anunnaki and Starseeds are considered to be family who have come from the heavens in order to interact with their human relatives on Earth. Preparation for celestial cooperation. Both the Anunnaki and the Starseeds are considered to be involved in preparing the people of Earth for interstellar interactions, carriers of cosmic wisdom and concerned with humanity's evolution. Starseed envoys. Starseeds are envoys. Envoys defined as a messenger or representative, especially one on a diplomatic mission. The Starseed Envoy Program is a concept that means there are starseeds who, before we incarnated on Earth, we chose to come here as messengers on a diplomatic mission to help raise the consciousness of humanity. Elena Danan has a contact Thorhan, and he tells us the main thing we need to do as Earth humans is raise our frequency.
We all knew that.
These otherworldly helpers chose to incarnate here with the purpose of bringing in the higher vibrational consciousness of their star race of origin, which will help uplift and transform our planet to a more harmonious state. Their mission is also to make people aware of humanity's connection to these other human civilizations and other star systems and galaxies, which connects to the ancient continents of Atlantis and Mu. The lost continents, I believe, are where a lot of the Starseed races civilized Earth. It's the parts that got destroyed. And some of the places on Earth had civilizations. The giant megaliths that exist all over the world, like Teotihuacan, Tiwanaku, the Nazca lines in Peru, the pyramids of Egypt. These are remnants of those ancient civilizations. They have some giant stones that, how could, even if there were thousands of or hundreds of people with ropes, pulleys. However, it seems almost impossible that they would move these giant stones. And often the type of stone that the blocks are made out of come from a real remote location. They must have had some kind of technology that we don't know of. I believe we'll discover that soon. It really makes me think of what they're discovering under the pyramid right now. Elena Danaan has predicted that we will find chambers under a great pyramid. She actually located these eggs. I think it was a projected consciousness vision that she had. Each egg was a different part of, one was about power, one was about wisdom, one was about love. Whether we realize it or not, the starseeds who have incarnated on Earth tend to spread seeds of higher thought among the people, the groups they encounter. You can often identify these starseeds by their interest in everything colorful, otherworldly, and higher vibrational. I wrote that out, and I feel like the people at this event and other conferences I've been at embody the Starseed Paradigm. We're looking to change the world and be harmonious as an alternative to the rat race type of world that, you gotta work this job, you have to pay your taxes, even though that's okay, but there's certain things that seem oppressive in the society and it manifests in traumas. But there's also the government programs like MK Ultra, it's a whole nother topic that kind of connects to starseeds too. The Starseed Envoy Program often refers to an organized effort where starseeds are believed to be on Earth in positions of influence, spirituality, or leadership, working to guide humanity through a process of spiritual ascension. Many pieces of science fiction media, as well as UFO and abduction stories and literature, have been preparing people gradually in stages to help them accept the reality of the existence of ETs, extraterrestrial beings. The current disclosure plan is making use of this envoy program to facilitate the revealing of real extraterrestrials living on planet Earth. There's people here at this conference that are talking about this information, that they have advanced knowledge that's being revealed to them in different ways. As Snell Perez mentioned that. In turn, the starseeds help to elevate the consciousness of this planet just by their existence and life on Earth. Just by us being here, we radiate that energy, and it'll motivate people unknowingly. Okay, I'm going to another aspect of the discussion today is Maria Orsic in the Vril Society, which was in Germany. It had something to do with some things that happened in World War II. So Maria Orsic is supposedly a starseed envoy. She incarnated onto this planet. She had latent psychic power. She was a psychic medium. She used her abilities to channel information and technology from space beings from Aldebaran. Maria channeled information. It came through through her mediumistic gifts about spaceflight technology. They say that she received these schematics on how to build anti-gravity spacecraft. And William Tompkins mentioned this in his experience in working for Lockheed. I think he worked for Lockheed right after World War II. And he said that there were remnants of Germans from World War II that were working in NASA and even in the other government programs. And he met this lady Jessica, and he thinks that she was Maria Orsic. So supposedly the beings that Maria Orsic met were from Aldebaran, and they were a faction of the Anunnaki. It's written about in Elena's book, The Starseeds, briefly. So these beings must have chosen Maria Orsic for some reason. She was a psychic medium, born in Austria. Her dad was from Zagreb, Croatia, and her mom was from Austria. She went into a trance one day in 1917 and received communication from these light beings. They resembled Nordic aliens or tall whites, and they revealed they were ET messengers from Aldebaran. They communicated with her telepathically by mind transmission, revealing, for example, the anti-gravity technology. Maria's contacts and experiences provide context for the type of technology that the inhabitants of the stars use to travel and communicate. The anti-gravity, these ships are real advanced. If you see or hear the stories, they fly like in a zigzag, or they'll be here and then all of a sudden they zoom up into the sky. They work with magnetic resonance. They don't have like fuel. They work on magnetic resonance, and they're able to navigate. And I believe we're going to learn that. And people in the governments have been experimenting with it, but they just don't want to let us know. That's why when I heard about Maria, it was really interesting me. And my dad is German descent, and she's German, so it really impacted me at the time when I met her. Hello. But yeah, Maria Orsic, I feel like she has something to do with the Starseed Paradigm that's going to be revealed. Now, according to Elena Danan, she is now working with Solar Warden, which is a development or part of the secret space program, which I'm not going to go into in detail. But so telepathy is important in the future of starseed communication with these otherworldly beings from other planets. Telepathy was an important component to Maria's work, and the starseeds on this planet often have enhanced telepathic potentials or abilities. Most starseeds who claim contact with their space family talk about how such contact is done through telepathy, how we will need to awaken and enhance our telepathic capabilities if we hope to communicate with those from other worlds. Because the world is advancing a lot, we're going to need our inner intuition and abilities to survive. I like some things that AI can do, but we need to balance it with our own natural abilities, which are in our auric body. But I believe that Maria, in her experience, has something important to say for the future of humanity. Time check?
2:49.
Okay, I got 10 minutes here. The Golden Age. One of the reasons starseeds come to this earth is to help prepare humanity for the incoming Golden Age. There were Golden Age civilizations on this planet, the origins of which aren't always certain. These civilizations had advanced technologies and higher consciousness, but some of the members of these civilizations abused their power, caused them to fall, which is what happened with Atlantis. Edgar Casey mentions in his experiences or channeled information about what happened, that they abused their technology. After the cataclysm of Atlantis, some of the survivors went underground. The remnants are what is known as the Agartha Network, which you've talked about, Brett, of inner Earth civilizations. One prominent civilization is underneath Mount Shasta. It's called Telos. I've had experience where I felt like they were communicating with me last year on Mount Shasta. Mm-hmm. We had a group meditation, Telos Lemuria group. They're from Israel, and I met them, and I had an experience like it had something to do with my past life, and I felt like a release. It was very powerful. What's her name? There's a lady, I can't think of her name, but she helped me with that. Meeting her in person and having that meditation group was pretty good. Telos beings originated from Alpha Centauri star system, which I've determined that's my starseed origin. Another interesting fact is that some of these Telosians lived in Paradise, California, and were trying to present advanced technology to humanity. Paradise had a tragic fire. But anyway, Elena Danan relates a story where she met these two people, and they kept looking at her, and somehow they had a rapport, but she was suspicious, like, why are they keep looking at me? But they were sharing something about that they wanted to prepare the world for advanced technology, but they were talking about Starlink, which Elon Musk is talking about. So what else is in there? The fires that destroyed Paradise, California may have been due to attempts to suppress that revelation. According to many sources, there have been multiple golden ages on the earth, and these are defined as times which humans lived in an advanced and harmonious state where the arts and activities are at their peak. This golden age has been referred to in some of the readings of Edgar Cayce about Atlantis. It is also found in the book Unveiled Mysteries by Godfrey Ray King. Guy Ballard is his real name, was his birth name, as well as dictations received by his wife, Lotus Ray King Edna Ballard. According to the account recorded in Unveiled Mysteries, Godfrey met Saint Germain on the mountain Mount Shasta in 1930. And then Saint Germain, they didn't teleport him. They went on projected consciousness to explore ancient civilizations on Earth. And one was in the Sahara Desert, and another was in the Amazon. And I think there was one Mitla, which was in Mexico too. Let's see, revealing details about Saint Germain's and Godfrey's previous embodiments. They had past life experiences together. According to Godfrey's writings, Saint Germain actually was a priest, like a president or king of one or more of those Golden Age civilizations. How those lives they had prepared them both to assist with the Golden Age, whose light is now dawning. Characteristics of the Golden Ages: widespread use of gold, and now also monatomic gold, Ormus. Knowledge of divine self, divinity, higher consciousness. Advanced technology, which we're kind of highlighting here at the BioMed Expo. Friendship with higher beings, higher consciousness, beings of light. Peace and prosperity. You could call it God consciousness. See, without the source, you're going to be disconnected. So you have to be, it's like holistic, whole. Gold was this is a quote, I believe, from Unveiled Mysteries. Gold was a common commodity in this age, as in all golden ages, because its natural emanation is a purifying, balancing, and vitalizing energy or force. It's also golden light. In all golden ages, this metal comes into plentiful and common use by the masses of the people. And whenever such a condition occurs, the spiritual development of that people reaches a very high state. Knowledge of divine self. Here's a quote by Leto, an ascended master. In the first two golden ages, which covered a very long period of time, everyone knew this presence just the same as you know each other. But when mankind began to assert their free will and felt the authority in the outer, they receded more and more. Advanced technology. The pictures revealed much of their system of education in that golden age, showing astronomical instruments whose perfection would make the scientific world of today speechless with admiration and astonishment. And geologists' equipment for examining the interior of the strata of the planets of both Venus and Earth. We saw inventors and several of their tremendous discoveries surpassing our fondest imagination. Many of these inventions, explained Saint Germain, will come into the use on Earth in the golden crystal age we have now entered. The emperor of the Amazon civilization was Casimir Poseidon. Saint Germain stated, these people were in direct contact with all parts of the world, through marvelous aerial navigation. All light, heat, and power were taken directly from the atmosphere. They're talking about doing that now with frill energy. It's a magnetic resonating energy, similar to like prana or chi. Here it says, this is a writing from from Unveiled Mysteries. Casimir Poseidon was a direct descendant of the mighty ascended master rulers of Atlantis. In fact, that civilization over which he ruled was a child of the Atlantean culture and attainment. Friendship with higher beings, as in the days of old, as in all golden ages, these great perfected beings who have attained the victory through human embodiment will walk and talk face to face with mankind on earth. They will explain the original divine way of life once again, that human concepts may be cleared and eternal truth be revealed. That's from The Magic Presence, which was the second book written by Godfrey Ray King, Guy Bell. Here's something about Saint Germain. He is the same great masterful presence who worked at the court of France previous to and during the French Revolution, whose advice, if it had been heeded, would have saved great suffering. He is indissolubly linked with America, past, present, and future, for a very important part of his work upon this earth is the purifying, protecting, and illumining of the people of America, that she may be the carrier of the cup of light to the nations of the earth in the golden age that is opening before us. That's from Unveiled Mysteries. This form of government was more remarkable, successful, and satisfactory in every way. There has never been anything on earth since that time which has even approached such heights in the ancient records that have come down to the present day. This former civilization is always referred to as the Golden Age. So it was in every activity of life. In your beloved America, in the not so far distant future, will come forth a similar recognition of the real inner self. This her people will express in high attainment. She is a land of light, and her light shall blaze forth brilliant as the sun at noonday among the nations of the earth. She was a land of light great ages ago and will again come into her spiritual heritage. Nothing can prevent it. She is strong within her own mind and body, stronger than you think. That strength she will exert to rise out of and throw off from border to border all that weighs heavily upon her at the present time. America has a destiny of great import to the other nations of the earth. America, we love. I put a list of recommended books: The Cedars by Elena Danaan, Maria Orsic, Nikola Tesla, Their Extraterrestrial Messages, The Occult and UFOs by Maximilian de Lafayette, Wars of the Anunnaki by Chris Hardy, The Only Planet of Choice by Phyllis Schlemmer, that talks about the nine, which are referenced in Deep Space Nine by Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek. Gods with Amnesia by Robert Sepper. It has some stuff about Inner Earth, a little bit about the Vril Society. He has some interesting perspectives. Conversations with Fraulein Maria by Seth Tyerson. Might be controversial because he was kind of a supporter of fascism, but he says he had direct contact with Maria Orsic. So. Slave Species of the Gods by Michael Tellinger, which I haven't read, but I know he has some kind of revelations about Enki, the sky god Anu. I was doing my research. It's kind of very academic, but it's good. Genesis Revisited by Zecharia Sitchin. I'd recommend all his books, which I'm working on right now, reading. I haven't put anything else on here. Well, so I'm basically done. If anybody wants a question or... but I feel like Starseeds is an important paradigm story that's part of our galactic heritage being unveiled to humanity. We just have to learn to understand each other, communicate, and develop each other, help each other develop in different ways. try to have a higher vision for your life, but then deal with reality too. So it's a balance between the regular everyday consciousness and, say, the meditative state. We all have our part to play in the world, and hopefully people can deal with their differences and be more harmonious. That's what life's about, I guess. So, but I'm really fascinated with hidden knowledge. In this conference, there's been some really unique speakers. Hans Dietrich, really, I like his research, and Geraldine Orozco's experience. They were two of the highlights. Even Ismail Perez had some really interesting things to say. So I'm thanking Saeed David Barman for giving me a chance to speak. I look forward to speaking more. I have planned a book about my experiences and about starseeds and extraterrestrial contact, just to explain the different viewpoints, contrast them. The Starseed Paradigm is very prominent right now. So I'm also planning a book about Sun Ra, who was a famous jazz musician who said he was from another planet. I've done a lot of research on him. I saw him about 25 times perform. His band still performs right now, the Sun Ra Orchestra. And the leader of the band is like 100 years old, and he's still playing music. It's astounding to me. So that's another part of my research and work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
God bless.
Very interesting. You did?